So I'm going to call on Mrs. Dorothy Barrett, who's one of this event's co-chairs, to introduce our guest speaker.
Good morning, everyone. Our speaker today is Joyce Odidison. Joyce Odidison is a conflict analyst and strategist, workplace wellness expert, certified trainer, coach, and president of Interpersonal Wellness Services, Inc. and Coaching Institute. Her clients include organizations, executives, professionals, and entrepreneurs. Her company provides organization development services, leadership coaching, coach training, respectful workplace wellness programs, and interpersonal skills coaching and training. She brings 20 years of experience reducing the impact of workplace stress, leadership challenges, and negative interpersonal conflicts at work. Joyce's passion for helping people work and live well together has led her to providing complex conflict interventions and authoring 4 books, as well as creating innovative tools and personal improvement strategies. 2 of her key initiatives are the Wellness Improvement System Model and the Coach Training Certificate, a globally recognized coach training program, the first of its kind in Manitoba. Joyce has a master's degree in conflict analysis and management, is a certified training and development professional, and a professional certified coach. Also, a wife and mother of 2 adult children, Joyce is an avid reader and active volunteer, supporting not-for-profit boards locally and internationally. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome Joyce Odidison.
Esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. And thank you for coming out so early on a Saturday morning to support heart health education. I have been trying to find out whose idea it was to have it at 8 o'clock in the morning, but nobody has been telling me. You know, I'm honored to be here this morning and to speak with you about heart and health and wellness. Let it not be said that we fail to improve our own health while we support Caribbean health and education. So thank you for getting us our fruits this morning. We need that. People of the Caribbean all have big hearts, right?
Hear, hear.
Well, if you were born and raised in the Caribbean like I did, or if you visit the Caribbean, you will know that you are in a place with people with big hearts, people who love each other, and there is just one love in the Caribbean. It's interesting that we are here today and we are focusing on heart health education in the Caribbean, because it is indeed a very serious matter. In 2006, my brother died of a massive heart attack in the Caribbean island of Antigua at the age of 36 years old. We didn't know he had a heart disease, nor did we know any other chronic disease that he had that would have contributed to his dying or illness or death. It was a shock to our family. I believe that heart health education is a generous gift to the people of the Caribbean. My mother had 4 of us, and both my brothers have passed on. My brother, who passed away last year, had a stroke at 49 years old. And my sister, who is alive, has diabetes. And we know that that is a disease that also leads to heart issues. So we are doing a good thing. being here and supporting and preparing so that we can offer and support heart health education in the Caribbean is a worthy cause. And I'm here this morning because of that, as I imagine you all are. So congratulations and good job to those of you who started this committee and are dedicated to the success of this program. As humans, everything we do involves the heart. There is no real relationship that doesn't include the heart. The heart is central to all our lives. If you reflect on our social language, the dialogue we use every day, you will notice that there are many metaphors and proverbs that depicts the heart as the center of the human existence, with comments such as the heart of the matter. It takes heart. Put your heart into it. And songs such as Billy Ray Cyrus' Achy Breaky Heart, hitting the all-time chart, it shows that we are aware as humans that we need healthy hearts to live well. And so today I want to put emphasis on some of the social and interpersonal issues and factors that affect our heart, and hopefully share some tips, and as a coach, ask you some questions that you can reflect on that will help you to walk away with tools to improve your heart health. In my work, I see a lot of people who are stressed, burnt out, and yes, rust out, overwhelmed. Stress is an epidemic in the Western world. Did you know that while chronic stress is bad for us, some stress is also good for us? And so I encourage people that don't be overwhelmed with stress and don't be fretful about having stress. Let's look for ways to manage the stress in our lives, because that's our responsibility. We need stress in our lives so that we can get up in the morning. Most of us, of course, have difficulty managing and moderating the stresses we face. Stress motivates us. It allows us to do the things we need to do. Without the stress of our responsibilities to our families and our communities, many of us would become layabouts. The challenge for us is to cope with stress so that it doesn't become overwhelming. As a conflict analyst and coach, I spend a lot of time resolving issues due to overly stressed, overwhelmed people, as well as teaching and coaching people on how to cope with life stresses. I believe that that is the biggest gift we can give to the next generation, is teaching them how to manage the stresses that comes at them. We're living in a different world and in different times, and there are going to be different challenges that face them. And so education is important. We know that too much stress for a prolonged period of time will become chronic stress. And we know the effect of chronic stress. It exposes our body to elevated levels of hormones such as adrenaline and cortisol. These are good hormones, but they are intended to fuel our bodies with extra energy in times of danger and threats, not to be the regular in our body. These hormones, when prolonged, elevate our adrenaline and persistently keeps our heart functioning at a high level, which is not good for our heart, not good for our well-being or our other internal organs. Stress has many negative impacts on our wellness, including impacting the way our moods, the way we interact with each other, and research shows that it impacts the way our blood clots, which is very profound and will definitely impact our hearts. We know that the human heart was created for love. I believe we were designed to love and to be loved and to love others in turn. We fail to develop well without love. Study shows that infants who receive love and attention thrive, and they develop faster than those who don't. We feel special when we are loved. We feel alive and purposeful when we are in a loving relationship. We inherently seek out others to love us. I believe one of the big secrets of life is the fear of not being worthy of love. Many clients tell me that. Joyce, I just feel that nobody will love me if they really know me. But I think they're wrong. We're designed to love one another. This fear puts tremendous stresses on us as humans. Social stress. Stress to be socially accepted. Our hearts are virtually empty without love. Feeling unlovable impacts our self-esteem and our sense of self-worth. Hence, our drive to develop loving interpersonal relationships. Over the past 20 years, I have been witness to many negative impacts of interpersonal conflict on individual well-being. I first saw the negative impact of conflict and stress when a client of mine had a heart attack in my office during a heated divorce mediation. Since then, I have made it my mission to help other people cope with life challenges and conflicts and improve their interpersonal relationships so that they could in turn improve their heart health and live well. So, after 14 years of practicing in my consulting firm, in 2010, I rebranded my business and called ourselves Interpersonal Wellness Services, Inc. I did this to remind me every day what my mission is. My mission is to serve people, help those I work with to cope with their life realities in an effective way, to reduce negative interpersonal dynamics, and of course, to improve well-being. We will never be without challenges in our life, but we can all learn to improve how we face them. We need to learn how to be resilient and how to negotiate and cope with life stresses to save our hearts. I think that's our responsibility. Our job is to learn to manage our life, not be managed by life. You may have heard of the word resilience, but I want to put emphasis on it this morning. I'll touch on it a few times. The American Psychology Association described resilience as the process of adapting well in the face of adversity. Adapting through traumas, tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress, such as family and relationship problems, serious health problems, workplace conflicts, financial issues. It means bouncing back from difficult experiences. And so this morning, as I get into it, I want us to think about that. As the rate of mental health disease increases in the world, not just here in North America, right here in Canada, we see 1 in 4 people who are impacted by mental health disease. It seems that we're not being resilient. As a matter of fact, we are presented as the most emotionally fragile generation in history, and we get more fragile with each generation because the trend does tell us that our generation Y are going to be even more emotionally sensitive. If this trend continues, mental health disease and heart disease will continue to increase, which is a direct threat to us, the existence of the human race. When Sean Aker, the author of Happiness Advantage, and his team came up with the idea to teach a course at Harvard University on happiness, they were shocked at the overwhelming response and the popularity of the class. After all, only the affluent and highly academic scholars go to Harvard, right? It soon became apparent that rich or poor, humans all have an innate need for happiness and love. Research from Harvard shows us that true happiness was derived from the quality of one's relationships. Despite grades, status, income, or class, people derive true happiness from the quality of their relationships. As a coach, I have a question for you. Is there a relationship you need to be working on? I hope I can encourage you today to start thinking about the qualities of your relationship. because studies show us it's directly related to our heart valve. I want to share with you some of the wellness competencies that I teach and share with my clients and coach them to improve daily that help them to work, live, and play well. Here are the wellness improvement competencies: integrity, responsible communication, emotional intelligence, engagement, capacity building, interdependence, innovation, vibrancy, and resilience. I'll spend a few minutes on each. I have come to learn that by developing these competencies, we can reduce our stress and cope better with life. Let's take a look at integrity. What comes to mind when you hear the word integrity? Are you reminded of being honest and truthful? With your permission, can I take it a little further? I would like to expand on the thought of integrity to include living in integrity with your values. It means understanding your purpose and creating balance, knowing what it is you want from life. So if you haven't done so yet, I want to encourage you to make a list of your values. What are the things you value in life? What are the things that are important to you? And align your life accordingly so that you are living in accordance with the values that you hold. We found that often when people are not living in alignment with their values, they tend to be anxious and stressed and unhappy. Here's what I've learned from living in value. The best part of living with integrity is that it gives you limitless freedom. The freedom to say yes or not, or no, or not at this time when things and opportunities come your way. And you can do so without self-doubts and regrets. Imagine being offered what looks like a really great opportunity. And when you think about it, it just doesn't feel right. So you toss about in your mind and you think, should I do it? Should I take it? Should I do it? And not having a way to assess it. When you have your values and they are articulated and you know what they are, it's quite easy to assess that opportunity in relation to your values and then be able to say, oh, I think I'm going to pass on this because it does not align with my values. When you know what your value is, you're able to go in the right direction. You're able to make those decisions without the self-doubt and the self-incrimination and the frustration of not knowing, is it right, is it not? So your values allow you much freedom in managing your life well. So here's the coaching question. Ask yourself, what are my top 10 values? What would those who know me say I value or spend my time doing? What is one value I hold but isn't making time and space to manifest it in my life? Am I living in integrity with my values? Are they aligned? Can those who know me, when they look at me, when they interact with me, who work with me or live with me, say, yes, that is a value that this person holds? If that is not true for you, you can start working on it. It's not too late. It's never too late to align with your values. The next competency I want to touch on is responsible communication. Well, I get called all the time to teach communication, and we have a communication breakdown, and we have conflict, and people aren't getting along, and it all comes back to communication. So you know what? I kind of coined the word responsible communication. After teaching effective communication for many, many years, and nobody was actually taking the responsibility to be effective, I thought, let's just change it to responsible communication. Have you ever consider that we live and operate in networks of relationships? We are born into family networks. We work in professional networks. We socialize in social networks. Each of those networks have their own distinct rules of engagement and communication patterns. Learning to communicate responsibly in each network will relieve social stress, interpersonal anxieties, fears, and uncertainties. Communicating responsibly includes speaking with intent and purpose. So, of course, if you know your values, you will be able to speak in a purposeful way and share your perspective. But also being respectful and knowing that others may have values that differ from yours. And it's not a time to fight, but a time to listen. Being transparent, being open and willing to listen to the other person's point of view. It also means that you will shoulder the responsibility to not cause harm with your communication, and that you will take steps to address and correct any issues that may arise from your communication. So here's the coaching question for you. Ask yourself, what aspect of communication do I need to improve on? Am I fully engaged and present and listening when others are speaking or communicating with me? Do I show that I care and value them with my response? You know, it's interesting, one of my clients in the office this week, she said, you know, we have a really problem client and we send the client to work with you, and he came back and he said that he felt heard and he felt respected and he felt that he can work with you. And I said to her, everybody deserves to be heard and listened to with respect. And sometimes people are troubled, and I see a lot of problem people as well as I see highly effective people too. But people are sometimes challenged, and the employees or the people who are sometimes a little bit loud or brash or maybe disrespectful are the ones who really need to be heard. And so sometimes just taking time out to listen to them and show that we value them makes a huge difference. And it may be the switch to turn the communication around. The next one I want to talk about is emotional intelligence. You know, where there is emotional intelligence, there is self-mastery. We develop self-mastery when we learn to question our feelings. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Is there evidence to support this feeling? Is there another feeling or emotion that I can entertain at this time? I believe there is a time to be sad, a time to be glad, a time to be angry, and a time to be frustrated. But have you ever noticed that many people you know spend most of their time feeling angry, upset, or frustrated? It almost feels like the flu. It's like a flu bug. Everyone else, every other person is upset, angry, and frustrated. And I believe that that's a choice. There's a quote hanging on the wall in my office that clients often comment on, and I'll share it with you. I don't know who wrote it, but it's on a plaque I got. It says, being happy doesn't mean that everything is perfect. It means that you decide to see beyond the imperfections. Life is not perfect, and it is never going to be perfect. What we need to choose to do is identify what we're going to align with. Identify where we're going to connect, what emotions we're going to feel and harbor. That's when we are managing our life well, and that is self-mastery. The next one I want us to talk about is engagement. Engagement requires deep commitment and dedication. Who or what are you committed to? Is there a return? Is it keeping you inspired, growing, and learning? Are you contributing in a manner that is massaging your soul? Do you feel full from doing it? We all need something to engage our minds and stimulate our senses. What will you engage yourself with? We know that as humans, we have a desire to serve and to contribute. And there is nothing more rewarding than being committed to something and someone in our lives and making a meaningful contribution. So ask yourself this question. What are you going to commit to? What are you going to engage your time and energy with? And will it make a meaningful impact? The next one I want to share is capacity. And when we talk about capacity building, it opens up our minds. Have you heard the saying that we only use 15% of our brain? That is not true. Actually, we use less than 15% of our brains, and some of us far less than that, unfortunately. You know, our brains are designed in an incredibly way to keep us safe. And it's always looking for new ideas and ways to keep us safe and keep us happy. We have immense capacity to develop and grow, and sometimes those are left unexplored. I want to ask you these coaching questions. Where do you need to develop next in your life? What new skills, ideas, hobby, or job will you engage with? What will help you grow to your next level of development? I love asking these questions to my clients because sometimes they work with me for a time and maybe after a year they've worked on certain things and they're like, yeah, I got it. And I ask, okay, so where do you go now? No, we're done. What are you going to do with the knowledge and the skills and the awareness you have? What is the next level of growth for you? I believe we are never stop learning or growing until we die. I don't mean growing, I mean growing. And I believe that if we're not growing and learning, we're dying. So if we're committed to life and well-being, we should be learning and growing. So I want to encourage you today. What are you going to learn, grow? Where are you going to expand your capacity? And who can help you? Sometimes it's a matter of connecting with the right resources to help us to do so effectively. Our next one is interdependence. As humans, we all have connections. And we're all connected and dependent on each other or something for our happiness and for our survival. Learning to appreciate and being respectful of each other's contribution is a way to ensure that we're not causing interpersonal casualties. Ask yourself, and here are the coaching questions. Are there people in your life that you fail to acknowledge and show respect to? Might you be causing them pain and emotional distress with your lack of attention or dismissal? When we appreciate each other, we say, I value you. We say, you are important. We say, you contribute to my life. Take the time to show someone you value them. As humans, we should be valued just because we are humans. The next one I want to touch on is innovation. I love this one. Sometimes life calls us to think outside the box and to stretch our minds and ourselves, to take risks and to share our joys and failures with others, hopefully with those we love. Being innovative and creative is a wonderful gift and privilege. But you know what I've come to learn? That when you are in a loving, secure relationship, it allows you, it boosts your energy, and it allows you to take risks that you would not have normally taken on your own. It gives you courage and wings to fly. I believe we live unexplored, too many great ideas because we are too lazy, too fearful, discouraged, or lack the confidence to take the risk. And sometimes, you know what, we talk ourselves out of great opportunities and great ideas that could possibly change the world. So here are the coaching questions. Am I embracing my creativity? Am I missing out on the joy and fulfillment that could come from being creative and innovative? What innovative ideas have you neglected to follow up on? Might you have the cure for a disease? Might you have the next invention to make cooking easier? I love my kitchen gadgets. If you have something quietly, maybe it's time to put it up. Let's not look at our ideas as too risky. Maybe talk with someone. Get someone who is probably not your spouse or your children. Talk to someone who is impartial. Because you know sometimes the people who love us or care for us can sometimes be inhibiting. They see the risk and they don't want us to get hurt. So they will tell us, maybe you can't do that. That is too scary or too risky. So sometimes, and oftentimes as a coach, that becomes my job, to be that objective person, to say, I believe in you. You can do that. So I want to say that to you this morning. If you're sitting on an idea that you're thinking, oh, well, maybe, I want you to put it down on paper. Think about it. Do some research. It might just be that next big idea. So go ahead and be creative and innovative. The next competency I want to touch on is vibrancy. We are created for movement. I believe our hands and feet would be far more active if they were not attached to our emotions. I don't feel like working out today. I don't feel like going on a hike. I don't feel. Our emotions, if we don't manage them, can go up and down. Our bodies were created for vibrant movement and activity. Being vibrant is to be exuberant about life and the opportunities it offers. To be excited about participating in some life activity, be it volunteer, be it going on a walk, be it going on a hike, be it going on a treadmill. Appreciating the wonders of our bodies, about how we look and how we feel, about the wonderful gifts that we fail to use when we're not using our bodies at its full potential. Most of us carry around a few too many pounds. We eat the things we know we shouldn't. It's okay once in a while, as long as we don't make it a habit. Consistency and practice is what comes to result. So here are the coaching questions. Ask yourself, what am I doing to remain vibrant in my life? Do I tap into all the resources and avenues available to me? Is there room to be more active, to be more exuberant and vibrant in my life? Look around you, ask someone, get a buddy, somebody to do something with, and be vibrant. Life is short. We don't have a lot of time here. Use your time vibrantly. And then this brings me back to resilience. I come back to resilience because it is what keeps us moving forward despite of life challenges. Ask yourself these questions. What's in the way of you being resilient? What conversations are you having in your head? Sometimes we call it self-talk. Sometimes we talk ourselves out of doing good things, or we talk ourselves into feeling depressed and miserable and upset and frustrated. What conversations are you having with yourself? Can you change those? Can you encourage yourself to keep moving? Though you work hard, do you give yourself time to relax and rejuvenate? I'm all for hard working. I love my job. But I've learned that our bodies cannot go 24/7. We need to stop and take time. We need to rest. We need to play. We need to work well, we need to live well, and we need to play well. In order for us to have balance, in order for us to be able to sustain what we do. If you love your job, like I do, then you owe it to yourself to take time to rest, take time to rejuvenate, eat well, have good, healthy relationships, because that's what's going to sustain you. Is there some way to lessen your load? Delegation is important. Can someone else do something for you? Is there a better use of your time? Those are some of the things to ask yourself. Resilience is something we need to cultivate. It starts with sowing new thoughts and ideas, then taking action, all the actions necessary to live well. And I know it's not always easy. It's not every day that I get up and I want to go on the treadmill. But we almost have to trick ourselves into being resilient and living well. We have to come up with what we call structures. So structures are those things that allow you to move forward in a certain direction towards attaining your goals. So I'll give you a little insight. One of the things that I've done in my work, I love what I do, and I found that I was spending a lot of time sitting because I teach some online classes, and I would work and I would come home and I would teach for 3 hours in the evening, and I do this work, so I know what to do. And I had a conversation with myself and talking with my coaches, and I need to do something, because there was a study that said sitting causes us to die. The more we sit, it ages us. And I was like, I need to be moving around more. So I got a treadmill with a desk on it, and I teach my online classes on the treadmill. And I promised myself that I was going to get up in the morning and go on the treadmill every day, even if it's just for 30 minutes. And I found myself a few times making excuses. So I thought, okay, well, what do I do every day? Well, I pray every day, and as a Christian, I read my Bible every day. So my Bible now stays, and my journal sits on the desk. So I have to go there to pray anyway. So am I going to move? Of course. I turn it on, and I don't necessarily walk as fast as I should when I'm reading. But you know what? I've learned to be able to read and walk and on the treadmill, and I've actually been able, no, don't try that. I slow it down and I journal. But we have to find ways, and this is just what works for me. So what is it that's going to work for you? How do you become resilient in your life? What is it you need to do or change that will help you to align with one of the goals or values you have so that you can live well? That's what it's all about. Because as we work together to educate and to train and to help, and as we pass on our habits to our next generation, they're watching us. My daughter is grown up and she lives on her own, and she says, oh, sometimes it's so when we have conversations, I talk about, are you exercising? And my son knows it too. I said, when was the last time you exercised? And they know, because they look at us, they follow what we do. Parenting is not all about what's taught, it's also about what's caught. So they're looking at us. And if we're going to pass on heart health education, then we need to be passing on life lessons, life practices, and life habits to the next generation. So even when you feel like you can't move and you don't want to do it, I want to encourage you today to do it for your children, because they are watching you. Remember, as we talk about the heart today, the heart is a versatile organ. It can be broken and it can be mended. It can love and it can hate. It can become ill and it can heal. It can expand and it can reduce. Most of all, the heart is loyal and committed to keeping us alive and in love with each other. Do your part. Keep well. Protect your heart. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just going to ask Joyce to stay up for a couple of minutes in case there are Any questions you might have for her?
If there not be a question, I'll have to put one up there. She can't be here not having a question. The lady prepared all week to come here. Nobody has a question?
Yes. You.
Anyway, I have one. Now, Joyce, it's really a pleasure and very useful information. And I know I'll have to trick the treadmill now. Now, you mentioned happiness. Our great writer, two-time Governor General Award winner, M.V. Basanji said, happiness is an illusion. And if I knew that when I was about 14 years old, I'd be a much happier man. Tell us more about that.
Well, it is an illusion. It's all about what you think and what you focus on, right? You can choose to be happy. Happiness is a choice, I often say to my clients. So I see, when we see many times that we see the challenges in our society, we see the mental health, we see the stress, people are overwhelmed and they don't know what to choose or what to do, make choices. So we need to help them to find the structures in their lives to be happy. So it's not that people don't know or they don't want to be happy. Sometimes they just don't know how to be happy. They don't know how to wrap their brain around being happy and how to make those choices that's going to help them to be even happier. So we see sometimes people are making choices that actually detract from their happiness. So it's again partnering with them and encouraging them. Have you noticed? Is this possible? And those are some of the things that we can do to encourage those around us who are not happy. And the treadmill, where is he? The treadmill, actually I found it on Amazon.ca, so I'm selling for them today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joyce. And by the way, you can adapt to your current treadmill. Oh, there's another question. Oh, Dr. Bram has a question. Okay.
I do have a question, but I don't want to scream. So, being from the Caribbean, it's not unusual to have a fete on a Friday night, which makes it very difficult to get up on a Saturday morning. Which makes me, I'm very happy to have gotten up this morning because it was very well worth being here. So that was my comment. My question is, do you find that it takes a life event? Sometimes there's some clinicians in the audience here for their patients, their clients. Sometimes it takes a life event that is of serious consequences and serious prognosis before people kick into gear to many of the items that you were talking about.
That's a good question. My job is to ensure that that doesn't happen before. So I try to spend my time educating, encouraging, and coaching and motivating people to not have a serious life issue before they start. But you are correct. Most people need a negative motivator before they start living well. And so often we see clients who are coming to us because they've had a heart attack, because they've had a traumatic experience, they've had a divorce, so they've just gotten over depression, or they're now looking to move forward from the next phase in their life. So yes, we do see a lot of that, and it's unfortunate that we wait as humans to have a catastrophe before we do well. Yeah. Somebody else give me another question.
So thank you. Just to follow up, to reinforce exactly what you're saying, and why to get these stuff preemptively is more important. There's one of our researchers at St. Boniface who does some psychosocial oncology studies. And traditionally, these things were seen as soft science, but they're very, very powerful. One of the things he's finding is if a doctor tells a patient that you have cancer, 70% of what the doctor will say after that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't register in the patient's mind. It's very simple, but it's very powerful. So thinking about those things preemptively that you're talking about is very, very important. So thank you very much.
Another question?
Thank you very much, Joyce. I really enjoyed hearing your remarks and talk. I wonder if you could comment on our culture's definition of success regarding and its correlation to what you're talking about, and in particular, You know, I know I'm speaking probably among a crowd that plays a whole lot of emphasis on our children succeeding. And sometimes, you know, because we value certain things and because we've come from hardship, you know, in our own young lives, we place certain stressors on ourselves and on our children because of our definition of success. I wonder if you could just comment on that.
Oh, that's a whole other keynote there. But you're right, it comes down to choices. Often clients come to me and they will say, you know, we have no, and they're having challenges with their children or with their spouse or family issues. And I say, so how do you manage your family? What is your structure? What is your process? And they outline to me that we eat in the car 4 days or 5 days a week, and we're gone on Saturdays, and we're busy, and we spend no. And I'm like, where are these children going to learn interpersonal skills? From the sky? No wonder they end up, you know, they end up in the workplace 15 years later because they've not had time to socialize in their families. The parents don't have time to parent because they believe that if Johnny becomes the next hockey player or sports, you know, it's not to minimize these things. These are important, and we need to teach our children to have ambition and to have goals and to work towards things. But I think sometimes we get a little carried away with the idea of success. I remember my daughter is too old to mention at this point in time, and she's an adult in her life. I remember when she was younger, she wanted to be in 3 or 4 social activities, extracurricular activities after school. And my kids are 8.5 years apart, and I had my son, and I've had my business. And I sat her down, I said, honey, we love you very, very much. But you know what? 2 activities a week is enough because we need family time. You need to learn to be with your brother. You need to learn how to get along. We need to be in a family. We need to learn how to. We need to teach you how to learn to resolve conflict here and to be a good communicator. All of those things. That's our job as parents. And if you're not here and I'm not here, and you know we're out somewhere, it's not the right environment. And so we need to spend time doing that. And I think it's all around balance. Success is really sometimes our perspective, right? We may have different ideas of what success is. And we need to come back to what I said earlier, live in integrity with our values. What are your values? So when I ask clients to make a list of their values, they put family up. And so I say, okay, so tell me how many hours a week do you invest in family time? Well, and they start counting, and they don't have 5 hours a week that they spend. I'm like, well, then it's not a value. It's a value you would like to have, but can we work on making it an actual value? Because a value is the things you value, is the things you spend your time on, the things you do, the people you want to connect with. That means you value them. So wanting your child to be the next hockey star or the next football star is great, but also parenting. We see children grow up and they become adults, and you recognize that relationship is what matters. The time we spend with them. The parenting, when you see the decisions they're making based on having spent time with them parenting. So that's a whole other conversation, but it does come back to living in alignment with your values. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Joyce. And as I was mentioning, well, the treadmill is available on Amazon. If you already have a treadmill, you can just adapt it. Build a desk around your treadmill. There you go. That's what I did. I am just going to take this time now to call Mr. Marcus Chambers to give thank you to our guest speaker.
Thank you, Sandra. Joyce, if you could come back on stage real quick, please. As she's coming, I just want to say that I'm British born, of Jamaican heritage, Canadian citizen, but Guyanese by association.
That's right.
So Joyce, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule today and sharing with us your thoughts and views on heart health. As I harken back to our event on October 28th last year at the Punjab Cultural Center, and Dr. Pierce was talking about the virtues of flaxseed and how we feed our bodies and the studies that, the results of flaxseed has on the heart. I can say today that, we also have to feed our minds. And I guess the takeaway that I'm taking today is the fact that heart health involves many areas of wellness. And it's a holistic approach in terms of feeding your body with proper nutrients and feeding your mind and your soul with proper nutrients as well. So again, I want to take this time to thank Joyce for her vision today, and I think we can all have a great takeaway. Is your PowerPoint, is that available to be disseminated as well? If we can maybe get your website, and if this information is available online, but certainly, I know for myself, I would certainly like to have more information. I know that for myself, I have a treadmill that is multitasking. It not only does it serve to, for my health and wellness, but recently it's also been used to dry laundry. So while you have your treadmill that's multitasking with your desk, I have mine as well. So thank you for your time this morning. We'd like to give you a token of our esteemed gratitude. And I also want to remind you that we have an event coming up in October on the 22nd of 2016. Another gala dinner. The inaugural event was a huge success. And again, we thank you, Dr. Pierce, for your lecture on heart health. And I encourage all of you to tell a friend, bring your family. These are lessons that we can take through life. And again, it's not just about the destination, but it's the journey getting there as well. And I think if we can collectively learn more about heart health and then disseminate that back into the Caribbeans and with our families that's there and our friends that are there, I think this is a project that will go forward and really make an impact not only here, but abroad. So thank you very much.